y'all. So I'm in my car again. I swear most of these weekly thoughts videos are in my car, but that's the way it's working out. So as you may know, I mentioned a while ago that I'm studying music therapy at the college that I'm at, and I'm in MTO, which is Music Therapy Organization, and we put on this sort of awareness weekend this past week, and we had a bunch of music therapists come and give lectures, and it was super cool and interesting. One of the lectures really got me thinking, and it was the last one, and it was about philosophy in music therapy and like how your philosophy affects, the type of music therapy that you do, and like there's different, mindsets, things like that. And the speaker had mentioned how it's important to realize the difference between your mindset and philosophy and your behaviors, because you want them to be the same, and you want what you do to be what you think is true and your beliefs. But a lot of times that isn't true, and what you do is separate from what you think is right or whatever. I just started thinking, like, first of all, what is my mindset? What is things that I believe about the world, about what I think I should be doing? Like, what are some things that when I look at other people, I don't like in that other person, or I do like in that other person, and then I want to look at myself and am I doing the things that I don't like, or am I doing the things that I do? It's very easy to just kind of go through life and just assume that you are doing what you think is right, because you are yourself, so you're like, well, obviously if I think this, then my behavior should show it in that mindset. But a lot of times it doesn't. And so it's really important to try and align your behaviors or the things that you do with your worldview and how you want to be. And this also got me thinking about, like, your mindset, what things do you value, and how do you know that you are actually valuing those things instead of just being like, that's what I value, like in your brain. And it really comes down to like where you spend your time. And I find that if you just think about where's the places that you spend the most time, or what's the things that you are doing that you spend the most time, because that's the real things that you are actually investing in. And so taking a look at that and realizing maybe there's something that you don't want to be spending as much time doing because you'd rather be doing something else that you value more. So I think it's really interesting to kind of look at yourself and ask, where am I spending my time? And whenever you kind of take a look at yourself and maybe you realize that you are spending, most of your time doing things that you don't value or you don't want to be doing, you shouldn't be beating yourself up for that. You shouldn't be, really hard on yourself, because I don't think that's what makes people change. I don't think that you being like, I'm such a terrible person, how could I do this, I've wasted so much time. Like, it is good to look back and realize, yes, this is something that I don't want to be doing in the future, and I'm going to try to change that. But if you're constantly stuck in that regret and that kind of anger with yourself, it really just adds more on top of what you're already dealing with. For example, say imagine change being like you're pushing a wheelbarrow or something, and you have to get to a certain point to change, but it can be a lot more difficult if you're constantly adding on these extra emotions of guilt and shame and regret and stuff into that wheelbarrow, and it makes it harder and harder. Whereas you could just be using those emotions, and rather than just carrying them with you all the time. So don't ignore what you value, don't ignore where you spend your time, but just kind of observe it, and then maybe try and use those observations for good and become more of the person that you want to be. The more you try and align your behavior with your philosophy of life, the more content I think you'll be, and the less regret you will have in the future, and be more happy with how you're living.